Hi everyone, I'm Steve.
And I'm Cynthia.
And we're the College Support Network. We have both worked in high schools as college advisors, and we also have experiences working in admissions, financial aid, and as academic advisors.
We're both passionate about college access and understand that applying to college can be really confusing. That's why we're here to help by providing you quality information and resources to empower you to achieve your college goals.
In today's video, we'll be going over the University of California system, commonly known as the UC system. We'll be discussing things like admissions for both freshmen and transfer students, financial aid, as well as some other random facts that we think you should know as students.
Let's get started.
The University of California, or UC, is one of the systems of higher education in California. It's also one of the highest ranking public college systems in the United States. Because of this, many of the UC campuses are pretty selective in their admissions process. UC Berkeley is the oldest school in the UC system, and it opened its doors in 1869. The most recent addition to the UC system is UC Merced, which opened its doors in 2005. In total, there are 10 campuses in the UC system. However, only 9 of them serve undergraduate students. The campuses include UC Irvine, UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Riverside, UC Davis, UC Merced, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Santa Barbara. And the last campus, which is a graduate serving school, UC San Francisco. The campuses are spread all across California, so you'll find schools up in the Bay Area, and then you'll also find schools in Southern California. In total, the UC campuses offer over 800 different degrees, which include bachelor's, master's, professional, and doctoral degrees. They even offer great alternatives to degrees such as boot camps and even certificates. Although many of these campuses offer similar programs and majors, they also individually have different majors as well, and it's important to know which campuses offer what majors that you might be interested in. For example, I know a lot of students that are very interested in business, and more specifically business administration. However, a lot of students don't know that only UC Irvine, UC Berkeley, and UC Riverside offer this major, while the other campuses offer another major called business economics. One important thing to note is that this major is more specialized towards economics and not just regular business. So if you know that you're really interested in business administration, it's important to look at the schools that actually offer it. Another example is animal science. For students that are really sure that they want to be a veterinarian when they grow up, UC Davis is the only campus that offers that major. So like I said, it's really important to do your research and figure out which campuses offer the majors that you need to succeed in your career. Aside from different majors, UC campuses are also unique in their own different ways. I think it's really important for us to not really focus on the stereotypes and different misconceptions that a lot of the UC campuses have. For example, I know a lot of students see some UCs as being the party school of the UC system. We also hear about some campuses being super cutthroat and having no fun at all. And we hear about some campuses just being socially dead. It's really important to recognize that college campuses and college in general is really what you make of it. So don't buy into all of that. Focus on the school that fits with you best, fits with your educational and personal goals, and from there decide where you want to go. Another difference for students to remember is that the UC campuses operate on 2 different academic calendars. UC Berkeley and UC Merced both operate on the semester system, while the other UC campuses operate on the quarter system. The semester system has 2 terms. We have the fall semester and then we have the spring semester. In general, the semester systems operate on a 16-week calendar and then it's followed by finals. The quarter system operates a little bit differently because it offers 3 different terms. They offer the fall, winter, and then spring quarters, which usually are around 10 weeks long. Both the semester and quarter systems offer a summer session. However, it's important for students to remember that this is optional, so you don't have to take summer if you don't want to. I've been lucky enough to be in 2 different school systems with 2 different academic calendars. At UC Irvine, I was on the quarter system, which I said was around 10 weeks long, and currently I'm in grad school and I'm on the semester system now, which is around 16. In my own experience, I prefer the quarter system a little bit more just because I feel like 16 weeks is pretty long to be in one class. I remember at UC Irvine, there are a couple classes I didn't like. I got over the class pretty quickly, so I didn't have to worry about, spending an entire 16 weeks in a class I didn't enjoy. So what makes the UC system special, and why should you apply to a University of California campus? Under the California Master Plan, the UC system was designated to be research focused. What this basically means is that professors and graduate students have a responsibility to do research for these universities. Sometimes these campuses are seen as less oriented towards undergraduate teaching. However, this is not to say that these classes are not taught well at all. They're pretty much known all around the United States for having great lecturers as well as great professors that really dedicate their time to make the experiences of undergraduate students in classes worthwhile. Going back to research, the UCs provide undergraduate students with a lot of different opportunities to pursue research if they're interested. Typically, the UC campuses provide a really good environment for undergraduate students that are really interested in speaking with research professors as well as graduate students. The UCs are also really known for having state-of-the-art research facilities as well as research labs. Another thing to remember about UC campuses is that a lot of the times they're known for having really large classes. However, like I said before, each student's experience is going to be a little bit different. In general, the lower division classes and GE classes are the ones that are very large, so you'll be seeing a lot of students in your classes. And then once you get into your junior, senior year, when you're taking upper division classes and less general ed classes, you'll be in classes that are a little bit more intimate. So although you might be in classes with 350 other students, these large classes will still have a discussion session throughout the week where you'll be working with 30 other students in a small and intimate setting. So you'll still be able to, get to meet these students on a personal level, and you'll also be able to meet and talk to graduate advisors or graduate students who will be leading the discussions on a more personal level. The next thing I want to talk about is freshman admissions, and more specifically, the different requirements that you need to make sure you have before you can apply to the UC campuses. The three main requirements are the subject requirement, also known as A to G, test requirement, and GPA requirement. For the A to G requirements, there are a total of 15 courses that students must complete. However, you only need a minimum of 11 courses to complete before the end of your junior year, which is around the time you start applying to the UCs. It's important to know that I said minimum, which means the more classes you have when you start applying, the better. A is history, which requires 2 years. B is English, which requires 4 years. C is mathematics, which requires 3 years. D is science, which requires 2 years. E is language other than English, which requires 2 years. F is visual and performing arts, which requires 1 year. And G is a college prep elective, which requires 1 year. However, it's really important to note that these are just the minimum A to Gs that students need to be able to apply or be eligible for admission. We usually recommend students to go above and beyond whenever they can. So for instance, math, science, visual and performing arts, these are some of the courses or A to Gs that we recommend students to do an extra year if possible, just because it makes your application stand out a little bit more. Also, depending on your major, you would want to get a little bit more extra coursework in a specific A to G that may relate to your major. For example, if you want to be a math major or a business major, typically colleges really look for students to go above and beyond in math. So don't simply stop at Algebra 2. You want to go forward and get into pre-calculus, trigonometry, calculus, and so on. Another thing to remember is that your high school graduation course list may not always align with the University of California's A to G list. This is why we really recommend students to speak with their guidance counselors to make sure that you're on track and ready to apply to these UC schools. We'll leave a link below in the description where you can look up your own high school to make sure that the courses that you want to take in the future fulfill the A to G course list. The next requirement is the GPA requirement. Generally speaking, all students need a minimum GPA of a 3.0 for all A to G courses to be able to apply to a UC campus. One misconception is that you don't need a 3.0 or a B in all of your classes. You need a minimum of a C, but you just need your classes to average out to a 3.0. We'll leave a link below that leads to a GPA calculator website where you could put in your own classes and put in your own grades to make sure that you're on track to be eligible to apply to a UC. And the last requirement is the test exam requirement. Typically in the past, students were required to take either the SAT or the ACT to be eligible to apply to a UC campus. The University of California uses these tests to assess your academic achievement and preparation, while also using it to determine your qualifications beyond what they see in your grades. However, the UCs just announced that they will be test optional for fall 2021 and will eventually phase out the SAT and the ACT by fall 2025. For fall 2021 and fall 2022, the UCs will be test optional. This means that campuses will have the option to use ACT and SAT test scores in selection consideration if applicants choose to submit them. And they'll develop appropriate policies and procedures to implement the board's decision. For fall 2023 and fall 2024, the UCs will be test blind. This basically means that campuses will not consider test scores for public and independent high school applications. However, test scores could still be considered for other purposes such as course placement, certain scholarships, and eligibility for the statewide admissions guarantee. The UC system has also noted that during summer 2020 and ending January of 2021, the UC campuses will undertake a process to identify or create a new test that aligns with the content UC expects students to have mastered to demonstrate college readiness for college freshmen. By 2025, any use of the ACT and SAT would be eliminated for California students, and a new UC endorsed test to measure UC readiness would be required. However, they also noted that by 2025, if the new test is either unfeasible or not ready, consideration of the SAT and ACT for freshman admissions would still be eliminated for California students. Another important thing to note is that the University of California also plans to eliminate the SAT, essay, and ACT writing tests altogether as a requirement for UC undergraduate admissions, and these scores will not be used at all for fall 2021 admissions. With that being said, the UC still offers something called UC admission by exam. This means if you don't meet the UC minimum requirements for admission, you could still get in based on strictly your SAT and ACT scores. In general, this consideration is only meant for students that were unable to complete the A to G requirements because of different circumstances. To be eligible for admission by exam, students need to score really highly on their ACT and SAT exams, as well as score exceptionally well on 2 different SAT subject tests. Additionally, you have to take the written portion of the SAT or the ACT. Next, I want to talk specifically about California residents. The UCs offer California students 2 specialized paths that offer them guaranteed admission into a UC campus. However, the campuses that you may be admitted into are typically less impacted. The first path is a statewide guarantee. The statewide guarantee offers the top 9% of high school graduates a spot at a UC campus. The UC campuses use an admissions index and convert your SAT and ACT scores into a UC score and compare it to your UC GPA. However, with the upcoming changes with the SAT and ACT, this might all change. We'll leave a link below to the UC website that lists the current policies for the statewide guarantee. Any upcoming changes that the UCs make will reflect on this page as well. The next special path for California residents is the ELC, or the eligibility in local context. The ELC also ranks students in the top 9% at individual high schools. However, this rank is based on GPA for A to G courses that you took in your sophomore and junior years. It's important to note that not every single high school in California participates in the ELC program. Talk to your guidance counselor for further information. The last thing I want to briefly discuss is the UC application. The UC system has one application for all UC campuses, and this opens on August 1st at 9 a.m. PST. Students are able to submit their application starting November 1st, and the last day to submit is November 30th. When creating your UC application account, we recommend students to not use their high school generated email, and this is because you typically lose access to it once you graduate from high school. For the UC application itself, you'll be asked to provide personal and academic information. For the academic portion, you'll be asked to list your A to G courses as well as the grades that you received in it. There will also be a portion for you to list your extracurricular activities and your awards and honors that you received in high school. The last portion of the application will require students to respond to 4 personal insight questions. We'll have a video in the future specifically talking about the UC application as well as the personal insight questions, so make sure to subscribe so you're the first to see it. When admissions counselors look at your application, they look at it in a holistic way, which they call the comprehensive review. The comprehensive review includes 14 different factors that admissions counselors look at when determining whether a student is a good fit for their UC campus. All campuses look at the 14 factors differently, and each campus makes decisions independently of each other. So that's a general overview of the freshman admissions process. I hope you found that helpful.
Next, I'll be going over transfer admissions. Assist is a great resource that will help you plan your transfer path from a California community college to a UC or a Cal State. The website allows you to view articulation agreements between your community college and the UC campuses that you plan to apply to. It will also show you the requirements you would need to fulfill prior to transferring. Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum, or IGETC for short, is a series of courses that California community college students can take to satisfy lower division general education, otherwise known as GEs, before transferring to most majors at UC campuses. The IGETC curriculum includes 2 required courses of English communication, 1 course in mathematical concepts and quantitative reasoning, 3 courses in the arts and humanities, 3 courses in the social and behavioral sciences, 2 courses in physical and biological sciences, and demonstrating proficiency in the language other than English. Please take note that the units required differ between semester and quarter units and will depend on the campus. We recommend that you use Assist and communicate with your transfer counselor to ensure that you meet these IGETC requirements and that you're on track to transfer. There's also a GPA requirement for IGETC. You must pass your courses with a grade of C or better. Additionally, if you had passed AP exams with scores of 3, 4, or 5, that may satisfy IGETC requirements. We'll provide a link below in the description box where you can access a chart to view how your AP exam scores will affect IGETC requirements. The Transfer Admission Guarantee, or TAG, offers guaranteed admission to students attending community colleges provided that you meet specific campus requirements. The 6 campuses that you can tag to include Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. The benefits of TAG include early review, early admission notification, and support in the form of guidance for your major preparation and GE coursework. You can only tag to 1 school and you must submit that application by September 30th. However, you can also apply to other UC campuses during the month of November. Please know that each university and major has its own requirements. The Transfer Alliance program, also known as TAP, is offered by UC Berkeley and UCLA. These programs are partnerships with community colleges to help students transfer to both Berkeley and UCLA. The UCs have 1 application that is used by all campuses. It becomes available August 1st and you're able to submit your application from November 1st through November 30th. For students who are interested in TAG, please remember that you have an earlier deadline of September 30th to submit that TAG application, and you will have until November 30th to submit your UC application. The UC application requires that you answer 4 personal insight questions. These are short responses that allow you to share your story and your lived experiences. There is 1 required personal insight question that transfer students must answer. Please describe how you have prepared for your intended major, including your readiness to succeed in your upper division courses once you enroll at the university. The UCs conduct a comprehensive review of 9 factors for transfer applicants. Some factors include your GPA, special talents and awards, along with academic accomplishments in light of your life experiences and special circumstances. All campuses use these 9 factors but apply them differently. Campuses make decisions independently of each other. Lastly, I'll be going over cost and financial aid offered at UCs. According to the UC website, 57% of California undergrads pay no tuition. 42% of California students graduate with no student loan debt. And 72% of California undergrads receive scholarships and grants. That's free money, and I know y'all want free money. Under the UC Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, students coming from families whose total income is less than $80,000 will have their tuition and fees covered by scholarships and grants. If you demonstrate higher need, you may receive additional aid that will help cover other costs, such as your housing, books, transportation. To be eligible for the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, you must be a California resident or AB 540 student. You must also be in your first 4 years of undergrad or your first 2 years if you're a transfer student. To be considered for the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, all you have to do is submit your FAFSA or California DREAM Act by March 2nd. Students who are U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens, which include permanent residents, are eligible to file the FAFSA. Students who are undocumented and qualify under AB 540 criteria are eligible to submit the California DREAM Act. The Middle Class Scholarship is another form of financial aid that's available at the UCs. Managed by the California Student Aid Commission, this provides scholarships to students from middle-class families. Students are eligible if their family's income and assets are both less than $177,000. This scholarship may cover between 10 to 40% of tuition and fees. The Financial Aid Office will inform you if you qualify and the amount that you will receive. However, please know that this funding depends on the state budget. The UCs also offer the DREAM Loan Program for undocumented students. Since undocumented students do not qualify for federal aid, they're not able to access federal loans. The Dream Loan program provides AB 540 students the opportunity to borrow loans to help cover their costs. The amount is determined by each campus and depends upon the number of eligible students along with funding availability. Currently, students can borrow up to $4,000 a year and $20,000 total during their time at the UC. The Dream Loan mirrors the federal direct subsidized loan by matching its interest rate and offering a 6-month grace period. As long as you are enrolled at least half-time, your loan will not accrue interest. Additionally, you don't have to pay back your loan until 6 months after you graduate from college. Lastly, I want to go over the differences in tuition and cost of attendance for California residents versus non-residents. These charts show the estimated average cost for the 2019-2020 academic year. As you can see, tuition and fees is higher for non-residents. Now, it's important to understand residency for purposes of tuition. After you've been admitted, the UC will evaluate if you're a California resident for tuition purposes. This will determine if you pay resident tuition or the higher non-resident tuition. The term California resident for tuition purposes differs from other definitions of California residents. For example, a person who is a California resident for tax purposes may not necessarily be considered a California resident for tuition purposes. Ultimately, residency for tuition purposes will be decided by each campus. To apply for financial aid at the UCs, you must submit either the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act. Again, students who are U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens should file the FAFSA, whereas AB 540 students should file the California DREAM Act. Both of these applications are available as early as October 1st and have the same deadline of March 2nd. In addition to submitting the FAFSA or California DREAM Act, if you're a California resident, you should also submit the Cal Grant GPA verification form. Now, depending on where you go to school, your high school or district may automatically submit this verification form on your behalf. To be safe, we recommend that you speak with your counselor to determine if this is the case. If not, make sure you complete that form and submit that by March 2nd as well. To recap, you're able to apply for financial aid between October 1st and March 2nd for the UCs. Please know that you don't have to apply for admission before applying for financial aid, or that you have to wait until you hear whether you've been accepted before you apply for financial aid. Remember, the applications, FAFSA and California DREAM Act, become available as early as October 1st, and you have until March 2nd to submit that application. You should also know that you'll have to reapply for financial aid every single year. Because your eligibility for financial aid depends on your family's income and assets, and because those factors can change from year to year, therefore you have to reapply for financial aid every single year. Now, because of that, we recommend that when you apply for financial aid, use an email address that you will have continued access to. So earlier, Steve advised to not use a school-provided email address when you're applying for admissions. Same thing here for financial aid. Finally, I want to talk to you about the net price calculator, which is available for all UC campuses. The sticker price is the yearly cost, which includes tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, and personal expenses. For the 2019-2020 academic year, the sticker price was a little over $30,000 for California residents. For California non-residents, the sticker price was a little over $60,000. The net price, however, is the amount that you pay after your gift aid, which includes scholarships and grants, have been applied. Let's say I want to buy a laptop that costs $1,000. That's the sticker price. Let's say I also have gift cards that total $250. Now, $1,000, that sticker price, minus the $250, my gift aid, equals $750. That's the net price. So when it comes to financial aid, we have your total cost, which is your sticker price, minus any free money that you're receiving, any of those scholarships and grants. The difference between the two is your net price. That's what you'll be responsible for. Now, the federal government has required that all colleges that receive federal student aid, which includes the UCs, must offer a net price calculator on their websites. What this calculator does is provide you an estimated net price. It's going to ask that you provide your family's income and asset information, similar to what you report on the FAFSA or California DREAM Act. The calculator will then run those numbers against students attending the school who have similar financial situations to you, and then provide you a net price similar to what those students experienced in the previous year. Now, keep in mind that this calculator only provides you an estimate. You will receive an official financial aid package later in the spring after you've been admitted. Additionally, this calculator is just a tool to help you have a better understanding of how much you would have to pay out of pocket to attend a UC. The calculator is not an application. You still have to officially apply for financial aid by submitting your FAFSA or California DREAM Act. We'll provide a link in the description box below where you can access the net price calculators for all the UC campuses. Now, we understand that financial aid is a very scary subject for many students and their families. That's why we'll be making future videos that explain the different types of financial aid and provide step-by-step walkthroughs of how to fill out the applications. We know that we went over a lot of information, but we hope that this was helpful to you. And now we want to know, which UC campuses are you most interested in and why? What majors at these UC campuses are you considering? We look forward to reading your responses.
That's all we have for today. Thanks for spending some time with us. If you learned something new, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button.
If you want to learn more, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified the second we post a new video.